Hey everybody, it's 4 o'clock. I know we really appreciate everybody coming out, and let's gather around. We do have two warming devices here. If you want to gather around, Councilmember Adams is going to start with some welcoming remarks. Come a little closer, gather closer, it keeps us all warm. We're all friends here. That's it. If you're over at the playground, you can come on over. We're going to have a few words and then some more play. All right. Good afternoon. Hello. Yes. My name is Karen Adams, and I am the councilwoman for the 1st District Dogs. Yes. I want to welcome everybody to the 1st District and to South Knoxville. Can I hear it? Yeah. Yes. Thank you so much for coming out. If you want to jump up and down and get a little warmer, that is totally fine. That energy that you just shared, that's what we're here to honor. And we're going to celebrate that today. Because this incredible outcome is what that energy, what that vision, what that collaboration, what that effort has brought about. A place in the outdoors for all of us to enjoy. I remember when an event was held in this very spot. A spot that some people called a bridge to nowhere. And it was a public comment session. And just like today, it was the hottest day you could imagine. It was in June of 2018, and my family and I got on our bikes and we came over, and we honestly couldn't even figure out how to get here. It had rained fiercely a few days prior, and we made our way through brambles and so much red mud that one of my kids lost his shoes. Happens to the best of us. But we got here and we took in the presentation. All the boards, all the maps, this enormous tabletop model of a whole new idea. It was a bridge to somewhere. That was a somewhere that was green, a somewhere to play, somewhere to wander, somewhere to ride, and somewhere to explore. We never found my kids' shoes. But we did find a vision that day of what could be. A gateway to an urban wilderness. I'd like to just quickly acknowledge several folks here, former and current elected officials. We've got 2 former mayors here, Mayor O'Hara and Mayor Ash, my predecessor, Tommy Smith, and former Vice Mayor. I see Councilmember Debbie Helsley. If I've missed anyone, raise your hand and make sure the people around you know that you're a really special person who has helped through your leadership and for your support to make this happen. Okay, I would like to now say welcome to Knoxville's Urban Wilderness Coordinator, Wes Soward.
Thank you, Councilwoman Adams. Appreciate the warm welcome to the Urban Wilderness Gateway Park. I'm excited to see this project come to fruition. The Urban Wilderness is an iconic part of the fabric of Knoxville, and lots of faces out here that have had a hand in that over almost 2 decades. I'm just going to say a few thanks to some of these folks in general, but if it wasn't for the community, and a lot of you folks are here, and all of that energy that has built by advocacy, by sweat on the trails, by programming, all of those things, we wouldn't be here today. So it's really exciting to see how a grassroots moment to realize this great outdoor space has transformed into these beautiful park spaces that we have. A lot of organizations that have wrangled and organized folks, ABC, Legacy Parks, Catalyst Sports, have all contributed either to catalyze private investment to build some of these amenities, or organize people to be involved. And thank you to all of those efforts over the years. I could be nostalgic for probably 20 minutes and talk about those topics, but I want to get to where we are today and talk about the design team and thank them and the folks that worked on this project, and I'll let the mayor kind of give us a little bit more information about it. So the vision for this really started with 2018. A lot of work was put into this, and this vision was put forward. And the folks that worked on the design team, I know several folks from Sanders Payne's Architecture are here. Raise your hand back there, give them a round. Port Urbanism, landscape architect on this project. I saw Brandon somewhere. JMT, Facility Systems, FE Design Engineering. The colors that you see here, all these colors pop. And if you go through the whole urban wilderness, you see branding that looks consistent across the entire network. And Robin Easter Design did a lot of work to put these things together. I'd like to thank her for that. So vision, all those things line up, but rubber meets the road at some point, and we have to build these things. So Ron with DCSI is here somewhere, I think. He's a general contractor on this project. Thanks, Ron. You guys did a great job. With a lot of support from our civil engineering team. And our civil engineering team, we have an inspector on the ground, Martin. He's here almost every day checking. There's Martin back there. Thanks, Martin. The civil team's out here with our survey crews, marking points, making sure things are laid out correctly. They have probably worked harder on this project than anyone else in the city, I think. So thanks, guys, for this. It was a challenge to get this laid out. Lots of other folks, Parks and Rec, our public service crew, working to transition this to an operational park. Can't thank you guys enough. Love to see this thing open. Thanks everybody for showing up. I'd like to introduce Mike again.
Thank you so much, Wes. And before I get to my remarks, I just want to give a special note of recognition to Wes, because before he came to the city, he was working on this for quite some time as an avid mountain biker, as someone who, I think you were president of AMBC for a couple years. And when I asked you to consider coming to the city, I think that working on this project, seeing it realized, those dreams fulfilled, all the community persistence, the courage, translating that from empty woods and unclaimed spaces under highways to what we have today, wouldn't have been possible without your experience from the community side, from understanding construction and coordinating it all. So a round of applause to Wes Sword. You've really done amazing. And just because this is done doesn't mean you can leave the city. Another person who's been at this from the beginning, who used to be, Mayor O'Hara created the position of Urban Wilderness Coordinator, because you gotta do the work, was RJ Justice. So, and RJ, thank you for starting that off, and Wes, thanks for continuing that work. Really, really proud of that. And I'm often asked, what's my favorite thing about Knoxville? And I could have 100 different answers, but when I'm really being 100% honest about what I really like to do, and what I like to do before I was mayor, and what I will like to do when I'm not mayor anymore, is hang out in the urban wilderness. And raise your hand if it's one of your favorite things to do in Knoxville. That's right. I guess you all are here in this very cold weather. Wouldn't be here unless you cared so much about that. So this is an amazing milestone. Thank you all for being out here in this somewhat inclement weather. But one thing I know about the people who care about parks and outdoor recreation, the people who wrote emails, attended meetings, not just once, not just twice, but 10 times. My friend Tina sent me a picture of her son, who's now like 20-something, as a little boy at a meeting, like, no freeways in South Knoxville. And it was like that times 1,000. So raise your hand if you were part of that. Send an email, made a call to elected officials, just were part of that effort. Thank you. Let's give yourselves a round of applause, because that's we wouldn't be here today without that work. So this has been going on for more than a decade, and I do remember when I was running for mayor, several people, including many of you here, were like, are you gonna, keep this going? And that, I think, was the only reason you might have voted for me. So I said I had the right answer, and glad to be able to help carry on what Mayor O'Hara so effectively started. This represents a total investment of $11 million. These new amenities complete the initial vision for the Gateway Park. And as Councilwoman Adams said so well, in a lot of other communities, you might have to pay money to come to something that's nice. But this is free, it's open to the public, and that is so important, that accessibility to all, and also that we have amenities now that make it easier for all to enjoy with different mobility levels, bathrooms, water, places to park. It's also lit and undercover. We were going to be here, rain or shine, any kind of weather, because we're hardy, and also we do have this cover here. So creating public spaces for our city is a goal. And we're proud that this also draws visitors. I've always shared that philosophy that if we do things that are nice for Knoxville residents, other people will come and enjoy that too. So we make it first for ourselves, and if other people come and enjoy it and spend their money here, all the better. So really appreciate everyone. Wes recognized many of the partners, the design team, so I won't repeat that. But I do want to recognize former Vice Mayor and Councilmember Tommy Smith. There you are. Thank you for being here. Former Mayor Victor Ash. I know that you acquired some land here, and like if we didn't have Murray Myers Park was acquired during his tenure, and sometimes mayors start something they don't even know what it'll end up being, and so and it just takes a lot of persistence and continuity. So we really appreciate all that continuity of effort over the years from city council members and mayors. But there's one person who we're here today, without whom we would not be here today. And I think my friend and my predecessor, Madeline Rogero, someone's asked me what is your most important legacy? And different people might have different answers. And I'll be curious to know what your answer is. But to me, one of the most important things you did as mayor is protect this space and get us launched on the urban wilderness. So we are so, so grateful. And there's been that phrase that someone said about another great female leader, said, nevertheless, she persisted. And I think that goes for Madeline Rogero too, because you had some obstacles that you had to overcome. And it took a lot of political courage. It took a lot of strategic know-how, and it took a lot of building that support from the community. So kudos to Mayor O'Hara, and I'm grateful that I'm continuing that tradition. We have continued the South Waterfront investments, finishing this Gateway Park, finishing the park at Baker Creek Pavilion, Sevier Avenue streetscapes. I know there's a lot of construction going on, but this time next year, maybe even a little before, that will be done, and that's going to be amazing and more accessible. New riverwalks, greenways, and all of this is, while we are proud of our public investment, it does catalyze a lot of private investment too. And soon we'll be celebrating, I see Carol Evans here, another connectivity milestone that's been decades in the works, the Gulf and Ohio Rails to Trails Greenways, that's going to be coming soon. So I think this is an example of things happen slowly and then all at once. So thank you to all the people who helped start this momentum, but especially Madeline Rogero. Madeline, Mayor Rogero, would you please come up? And we have something to show you, and I want to have you help me unveil this, because I don't think you've seen it, and we're really proud, because besides just today, we want your contributions to this amenity to be remembered forever. So come over here, and we're going to unveil to everybody this tribute. Okay. Apparently we just pull it down. Oh. Yeah. Okay, ready? Let's, maybe you do, maybe, oh, they come together. Yeah, I think, okay, ready? 3, 2, 1. why don't you take the mic? You know what to do. Yeah.
Well, I wasn't expecting that when they asked me to come to say a few words today, but thank you so much, Mayor Kincannon. And, you know, I'm going to take a little liberty here because this is like elder statesman liberty. How about that? Retired, former, you know. And if you're cold, get close, okay? There is a heater here, so come on, move in. But it was an honor to be asked to speak here even before I knew it was going to be dedicated in my name. So thank you so much to all who had a part of that. I want to tell you that being out of office for 6 years has given me some distance, you might say, some perspective from the daily ups and downs of moving projects along. But so what I can see now from my viewpoint is the steady trajectory of this project from the early days of recognizing the incredible potential of this land to now enjoying this grand entrance to a beautiful park and urban wilderness that we all know is a recreational asset, a protector of the environment and our neighborhoods, and a huge economic driver for our city and the region. So in a time when some might wonder whether it's worth your time to get involved in the political and public process, remember this story. And this is a really good story because it is the story of collaboration among multiple entities, bipartisan votes, public process, and civic action over several decades. Now, the old-timers among us will remember that James White Parkway extension was proposed, or the James White Parkway was proposed by the state in the 1970s as a route to the Smokies, a quick way to get there. But there was continuous public action and controversy, as most highway projects have, and the South Knoxville Bridge was completed in 1983, and basically the parkway stubbed out right here. So it would take, so that was 83, it would take 30 more years to create the opportunity for what we are celebrating here today. So in the early 2000s, some 25 years ago, the effort continued for the extension, and so did the opposition. So our environmentalist friends organized a tree sit. I did not realize this until I recently read an article that John Nolt wrote. Any tree sitters out there from back in the old days? There was a grand old oak tree that was near here, and there was some tree sitting going on to show opposition. You remember that, Sarah? Until when they weren't around, somebody cut the tree down. So then our environmental scientist friends, John Nolt and others, I guess, identified an endangered species that might halt the process. But that also involved a detailed process in itself. So meanwhile, Mayor Victor Ashe, with council approval, built Marie Myers Park. And that was in the proposed pathway and effectively stopped that path for a while. So this brought time and attention to the valuable asset that we had right here in South Knoxville. The mountain bikers of AMBC, and I want a big shout for the mountain bikers. They realized they didn't have to go elsewhere to ride great trails. We could build them right here. And hikers realized we didn't have to go to the Smokies to hike, though that's always a good option. We could build hiking trails right here. And so an urban wilderness was envisioned, led by the mountain bikers of AMBC, who literally put their own blood, sweat, and tears and cases of beer into making this happen. And the founders and staff of Legacy Parks Foundation, Carol and others, who strategically acquired the necessary privately owned land needed to connect with public land. And of course, you also had the support of mayors, council, and city staff. The bigger vision, as we all know, was to connect over 1,000 acres of land in South Knoxville, including the 2 quarries, Iams Nature Center, the wildlife management area, city parks, and more. So this vision evolved along with Mayor Haslam's South Waterfront Redevelopment Plan, which involved extensive public process. How many of you all were in that process? A whole lot of us. Meanwhile, the state's effort to extend the James White Parkway with a new proposed path, they had to move it around thanks to Victor, ramped up again while I was mayor. Again, you spoke. South Knoxville neighbors and businesses, mountain bikers, environmentalists, philanthropists, public officials, and others. You built the necessary public presence to influence the political will. My colleagues on the Regional Transportation Planning Organization in 2013, 30 years after this stubbed out, right? They gave the final vote to stop the expected federal funding. We should all be grateful to those mayors and officials for the strong bipartisan vote in our favor. And we should also be grateful to Governor Bill Haslam, who then deeded the state property at the end of this road to the city so we could build this grand entrance, which would connect into the urban wilderness and the Baker Creek Preserve. But that's not the end of the story, but I will try and go faster. We then began the extensive public process of envisioning what this grand entrance would look like and allocating the necessary funding. So thank you to Mayor India Kincannon for completing this project and continuing to invest in the urban wilderness in South Knoxville. And thank you to the council members and city staff over 2 administrations now for moving this forward. And thank you to our community of neighbors, businesses, foundations, mountain bikers, and nonprofits for leading the way. Now, I want to recognize one more thing. Like any public project, there were people who disagreed with us, including our own friends and neighbors. There are always legitimate competing interests in everything we do, always. They're legitimate and they're competing, and that's what this whole public process is about, is working through those differences. But one thing I learned from politics is that your biggest opponent today may be your biggest and strongest ally tomorrow. That's why we should all try to not burn bridges in the process. I know I've made mistakes, but if we do burn bridges, let's try and rebuild them, right? Because that's how we move together as a community. So this is the beauty of the political process and why I think we should all stay involved civilly and respectfully and do it for the long haul. So for all of you who participated, thank you. When I pass through this grand entrance, I know I will, and I hope we all will, remember that this is the product of a broad coalition of good people and decades of work. And I will say, when I show my grandkids this little dedication, I'll make sure they know that it was the product of all of us. Thank you.
All right, well, we're getting towards the conclusion of this celebration. We had planned to have a bunch of kids from Dogwood here, but school's closed again. Sorry for all those parents of school-age kids, but safety first. So we do have some kids in attendance, so I think that we're just, are we cutting a ribbon or are we just going to go play?
We're going to run to the playground.
We're going to run to the playground. Okay, so everybody, children and children at heart, or people are already there, thank you, and let's go enjoy this playground. Thank you so much.